Hi guys, okay, today for simple cooking we're going to talk about how you make a blended or combined meal. Now in a nutshell, you're going to take something from column A, which is going to be potatoes, rice, vegetables, noodles, pasta, and you're going to put something on top of it from meal B, which may be barbecue, chicken, beef, some other thing this blended with it, and we're going to put them together as like a topping. There's a bed of noodles, rice, potatoes, whatever, and then you have a meat source or something else to add to the top of it. So what we're going to do is a quick, easy meal. We're going to combine fish and rice for a fish dinner. Now this is something light and easy that we can carry in our packs with no trouble. I'm going to use my Swedish stove, but you could use just about anything for this. So, get it good and wet. Get my stove lit. Like that. Move it to the center. Now in the pot I've got 1 quart of water. I'm now going to bring this to a boil. Now for the main meal I have chicken rice. This is an instant rice. This is the microwave cup, which means this is already cooked and it even has a moisture content. What I'm going to do is bring that water to a boil, and then I'm going to transfer it into here to the proper depth of about there, and I'm going to let it soak in that boiling hot water, heat it, rehydrate it, etc. For the main dish I'm going to be using a smoked herring fillet with pepper, brine, and brown juices. Looks good, don't it? Okay, I'm going to heat this up. Once that water comes to a boil, I'm going to drop this into the boiling water. I'm going to dip off the water into here to go into this, to measure this up. And then while that water's still boiling, I'm going to drop this into it and set it off the heat and let it heat up the fish as the water cools down. We'll get to that in 1 second. While that water's coming to a boil, let's talk a little bit about this combined meal. What if I took baby red potatoes, cut them into quarters, put them in the water, brought them to a boil? And then once they're at the right temperature, I have boiled potatoes. I can add cheese to the top of that. I can add pork, chicken, fish, whatever to the top of that. I can take those same potatoes, I can mash them up and make mashed potatoes. Or I can go the next step up and completely turn into creamed potatoes and put a pork chop or something like that on top of it. Then there's rice. There's plain rice, yellow rice, chicken flavor rice, beef flavor rice. There's all kinds of rice dishes like rice pilaf and etc. All of those fall into that heading. Then there is pastas. There's spaghetti noodles, there's elbow macaroni, there's curlicues, there's all these pastas that can also be used. And then to add to one more of it, there's noodles. There's big flat egg flour noodles, the wide noodles, the narrow noodles, etc. So I have a column of potatoes, some form. I have rice, some form. I have noodles, some form. I have pasta of some form. Then we look at the topping. It can be a sauce. It can be a gravy. It can be a chipped up meat covered in gravy. It can be hunks of meat like barbecue or something like that. It can be fish, chicken, pork, tuna, whatever. I start with a bed of and I add to it. I carry a smaller quantity of the meat. It's more expensive. So either I'm procuring meat from the environment, let's say squirrel meat. I'm then going to roast on a spit, or I'm going to boil. And I'm going to have the rice as the filler. Rice is cheap and easy, and it's carried dry. Same thing with the noodles, same thing with the pasta, etc. So many of the early guys carried a lot of this stuff because it was the filler. I only got a little bitty squirrel when I made a big pot of rice. And the squirrel flavors the rice, see, or the pork flavors the rice. And potatoes, same thing. a lot of potato, a little potato. If I got a big steak, then I want a relatively small potato component because it's going to be the meat is the main thing. But if I have a small meat component or a sauce component or whatever, well then I want a big filling starch component. That's going to be your rice, your potatoes, etc. So these things can be carried dry as far as the rices, the noodles, etc., and just constituted at the time with whatever I get. Now by add or subtract, I can add other things to it. Now so let's say I take the egg noodles and I boil them till they're ready. And then I'm going to combine fish on top of it. And I take peas or carrots or whatever, and one of those individual little components like I've showed you already, and dump in there with it for a little color, a little splash, a little contrast. That's what makes it different. See, it's an endless combination of this. And it's readily available, and it's light and it's cheap. Because all I got to do is cook rice, cook pasta, cook noodles, cook potatoes, and add to it. Instant potatoes, I ain't got to even peel them. Instant potatoes. I can make instant potatoes into a soup and then create the other component as a flavor to go into it. These two, varying how much water, how much whatever, it's a stew, it's a soup, it's a standalone meal on how you cook it. Okay, now my water's just now coming to a boil. I want to get it to a good hard rolling boil. Now what I'm going to do is I've got a little cup I can actually go down there and dip water out with. I've got my fish still sealed up in the tin. I'm not going to open that just yet. Now we're at a good rolling boil. I got my fork for later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rice. I'm going to shake it up real good. And then I'm going to open it up. I'm going to transfer that to my pan. Making sure it's all broke up and it's moist. See? Because this was meant to be microwaved. But you do the same thing with dry, but I like it because it's so quick. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to dip out water out of there right quick. I'm going to pour that water in there. It's not going to absorb so much like it normally would. So it's just good and wet a little bit like that. Now, if I put a sealed up can into boiling water, it'll reach temperature and it's going to burst. However, if I take the boiling, if I put it into the water and then I lift it off the heat like that, ooh, that handle was hot. Hotter than I was expecting. Just like that. And put it over here to the side. As that water's cooling down, see, now it's going to heat up that can. So it'll be warm. The maximum temperature in that pot is 212 degrees. So it's slowly cooling right now. Putting that cool can in there is helping drop that temperature, but it's sitting in that water, so it's heating it up. I don't want to cook it. It's already cooked. I just want to warm it. Now I put my rice in here. I'm going to give it a nice little stir. Now I'm actually backwards. Let me turn around. I modified my Swedish stove to have a notch on this side, so my handle is coming away from that open notch because the heat comes out and it heats up your handle. If you don't turn it away, it'll be so damn hot you can't hold it. Okay. Now we're just going to stir that a minute. We're going to let that finish heating up. Now I picked chicken rice, but it could be rice pilaf. It could be any rice dish. See, I just want to heat it thoroughly. Let it fully swell up. Give it a little stir. Make sure to poke that fish so it's completely under that water and that hot water. I'll pull it out and I'll open that can up and then put the fish on top. And this will come to a nice boil. Keep it just at a low boil for a minute. Just a minute or two. Then we'll get rid of that excess water. These Swedish stoves are great, guys. For a one-person type deal, these are great. Okay, now that's been boiling long enough, probably about 2 minutes. enough to completely heat it through, bring it to a boil, let it absorb, and I'm seeing the water disappear. I'm starting to get dry patches of rice. That's what I want. I want to just keep stirring it, let that steam coming off of it. Make sure that rice is good and cooked. It's not going to be chewy or anything. And I'm going to take it off of here and extinguish my fire. Now to do that, I'm going to remove my O-ring out of my lid. Just like that. Now I'm going to take off, remove the rice. Now I'm going to come in here and pick up the windscreen, move it over here and let it sit down and be cooling. Take the lid, snuff out the fire. Move the fire over out of the way, let it cool off. You see how the rice is absorbing that water. Take a fork, whip a little air in it. Like that. Nothing stuck to the bottom, nothing like that. Nice bed of rice. Now, taking my fork, I will now retrieve that can. And put my water out. I could use that to clean up dishes if I wanted to. Put that up there and that stand. There we go. Now, it's warm. I can put my finger on it, it's not going to burn me, but it's warm. Alright, now, I'm going to set my rice to the side. Pop that tab. Let it breathe a second. Now, after being in the water, after being that hot, always be prepared. It may spit because it got hot. So do not have your hand up, don't get burned, okay? Just like that. Now take, this is one big smoked hunk of fillet of fish. Take it. This is the awkward part. Come over here and put it down. Just like that. Now, you guys are not fish lovers. Why not pork? Why not chicken? Why not whatever? You want some really good coon attractant for getting coons and possums to your trap? That's it, guys. These old tins of fish and stuff, fantastic for attracting such game, because they love that smell and they love our trash. So why not use it as an attractor in a trap? Get that out of the way because it's still hot. Now, what we've got is smoked fillets in fish, just like that. Okay, smoked fillets and fish. Chicken just right, fish is good. Now, that was like a $2.10 at the big box store. You get a 6-pack of these pre-made up rices ready to go. Since it's already cooked and it's already moist, it heats up much faster like this. So you see that whole meal took what? 5, 7, 8, 10 minutes in my little stove. I could have done this on a fire as well. But now I've got a very filling meal with fish and the rice, and that will fill me up and keep me going on a cold night or etc. Now, you don't like fish, okay, barbecue or chicken or roast beef or any of the, go through the canned meat aisles and don't automatically discount the fish. I mean, I'm not a big fish eater, guys. I ate a lot of it coming up because we were poor, but something like this that's smoked and then it's already spiced up and everything. It's not bland, and yeah, it's got a fish taste, but it's not overwhelming fish. There's other flavors, and it's good. You just eat it. So, excuse me. So, one of those little things of rice, 1/10 of this fish. Total cost less than $5. And there's a really good meal for me that I can carry in a haversack where I'm going hunting and I want to have squirrel and rice. But dang it, I just didn't get any squirrels. Fall back to this. Or some other thing. It's a simple cooking technique. The mindset is column A, potatoes, rice, noodles, sketty, da-da-da-da-da. Column B, what meat do I want to put on top of it? Column C, spices and add-ons like cheese, like sour cream, like chili peppers, like whatever that I can add to even spice it up even more. It don't have to be bland, guys. It can be whatever you want to eat out here. It can be done. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. Super simple little cooking. Please leave any questions or comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button before you go. Till next time, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.